Yo, dudes, Oren here. Just finished watching Thursday Night Football, Detroit Lions at Green Bay Packers, and wow, that was a close dogfight type of game between both teams. I can't believe the winner won in the way they did. No, just kidding. This was a blowout by the Lions. They were in control of the game in the first half, and then Green Bay tried to do a little bit of comeback, but it got stopped short, and they won pretty much the same way they won with the Chiefs, the way they've been playing. They got back, and Laporta got a few catches and passes and key first downs and stuff like that. But David Montgomery being back, being the bell cow, getting the first downs, fighting for those extra few yards, getting the touchdowns, now that he's back, that formula continues to work for the Lions. The same thing essentially they did with the Chiefs and what they were doing with Seattle for the while. And then meanwhile, the momentum from the Atlanta Falcons game just continued with the defense. The defensive line continued to get sacks, lots of pressures. The coverage is really good. Jerry Jacobs had 2 interceptions, apparently. I only saw 1, but I checked the stats, and he had 2 there. And, Brian Branch got injured a couple of times, but I guess he was all right to go out and play again. And, the blitzing was good. Barnes, Campbell, Anzalone, they're all really good. And, just another great win against a rival NFC North team that has been kicking our butts for most of our lives, and now the shoe is on the other foot. And now the Detroit Lions are in sole possession of first place in the NFC North, and we have the advantage of being able to keep that lead, hopefully, for as long as we can. And we just keep having that momentum and keep going and keep winning until we finally clinch the NFC North and then hopefully win a playoff game. That's my goal for this team this year. So let's talk about some of the statistics from this team. So Jared Goff, 19 for 28, 210 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. While Jordan Love had 23 for 26, 246 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. So Love, I guess, had some good stats there as far as yards and stuff like that. But even though it didn't look like the Packers team as a whole played up to par with what they were doing, because they looked good in their earlier games, but they didn't look as good against Detroit here. So Detroit rushing, David Montgomery, 32 carries, 121 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And Jahmyr Gibbs also had 8 carries for 40 yards. And over on Green Bay side, Aaron Jones had 5 carries for 18 yards. A.J. Dillon, 5 carries for 11 yards. So the Lions continue to shut down the run, and they're one of the best teams in the league now in doing that. In fact, let's look at Green Bay's rushing. As a team, they had 12 carries for 27 yards. Yeah, if you want to succeed, you got to be able to set up the run to help set up your other passing plays. And Green Bay failed to do that because Detroit's rushing game was pretty good there. So, and as a team for Detroit, it's rushing 43 carries for 211 yards. So players like Khalif Raymond and Jahmyr Gibbs and Jared Goff contributed to that. So we definitely beat their butts in the running game by quite a bit. And meanwhile, with receiving, Josh Reynolds had 3 receptions for 69 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 5 receptions for 56 yards and 1 touchdown. Sam Laporta, 4 receptions for 56 yards. And then I'll just throw David Montgomery in there as well. And Gibbs at the running backs. Gibbs had 4 receptions for 11 yards, while Montgomery 2 receptions for 20 yards. Green Bay's receiving, meanwhile, Romeo Doubs, 9 receptions for 95 yards. Jalen Reed, 3 receptions for 55 yards. Where is he? Christian Watson, 2 receptions for 25 yards, 1 touchdown. This is his first game of the season, by the way. And then as a team, Detroit's receiving, 19 receptions for 210 yards, while Green Bay's receiving is 23 attempts for 246 yards. So Green Bay had more as far as the receiving goes, but, it didn't obviously it didn't help them get a win here. So Jordan Love also fumbled while Jalen Reed fumbled different times. Detroit as a team, their defense, they had a total of 5 sacks and 8 tackles for loss. So individually, John Kaminsky had a sack. Lee McNeil had a sack. He's continues to help with the defensive line resurgence. Aiden Hutchinson had 1.5 sacks. Charles Harris had half a sack. Isaiah Buggs had half a sack. So a lot of those big players. Buggs is back, and I'm glad to see that too. And then meanwhile, Green Bay as a team, 2 sacks and then 6 tackles for loss there. So Devontae Wyatt was one that had a sack. Carl Brooks was that one that had a sack. So players I was familiar with the draft there. So, and then Jerry Jacobs had 2 interceptions, and 34 yards there. So he felt like he had a couple of mistakes or a couple of close contested catches, which he was on the wrong end of the stick of, but he got 2 interceptions in this game apparently. So, yeah. This is just another dominant all-around win, and we beat Kansas City, and we've proven that we can beat pretty much any team. And Green Bay is a worse team than Kansas City, so it's like we playing them, except we played like a worse team and did better offensively and defensively. So this was a key win, playing on short rest, only like 3 days-ish of practice between like the Sundays and today, Thursday, for both teams. So now the Lions will get some extra rest. I don't have to play Sunday. And then I believe they're going back home to Carolina, if I recall correctly. Yeah, Carolina will be their next opponent. And they beat them in the preseason, but last Christmas Eve or whenever it was, they beat our butts. But we'll be home to face them this time. So, but yeah, great players all around. I think Goff played pretty well despite the interception. Montgomery did what he had to, which is always nice. St. Brown was good. I didn't hear any penalties from Penei Sewell. I know he had 2 from the game I went to against Atlanta, but I didn't hear anything about Taylor Decker either. But I know that he probably had an impact, so it's glad that he's back in there. The one backup offensive lineman, I've seen him get beat quite a bit of times, and I'm drawing a blank on his name at the moment, but it was probably the one weak spot on the line. But, what can you do when not everybody is healthy, especially like Vitae and those players? Graham Glasgow, that's who I was thinking of. He seemed like he got beat a fair amount. And then nice to have Buggs back. He had a key stop early in the game that helped set the tone. Hutchinson always seems – every other play, it always seems like he's there getting pressures on people, and as well as a lot of other people like Charles Harris I saw getting there quite a bit, Lee McNeil. He's had been one of my favorite defensive players for a while until like Jack Campbell was on the scene. But I think Big Mac – is still a key part of this defense there too. So helping the other players do really well. And Brian Branch is doing good things despite getting injured twice in this game. Just an all-around complete team. Tracy Walker doing his thing there, doing all the little things that we don't see. Jack Campbell running around. Just an all-around great team. Riley Patterson was perfect on his field goals and extra points. He still has yet to have an attempt over 40 yards, but the Lions have done a good job with their offense of getting them so close to where they're not making it too difficult on them and asking them to do the impossible all the time like other teams do. So, and the game on Amazon Prime ended with an interesting stat. This is like Dan Campbell's like the first coach in a long time to beat the Green Bay Packers 4 consecutive times. That's crazy to think about. So, it's like we're in an age now, a glorious age for the Lions. So I'm just happy to be here and witnessing it. I know that I've been kind of absent from YouTube, but, stuff from work and traveling with the game has limited what I've been able to do on here lately. And but it's good to be back. And I plan on changing a few approaches to my channel and the content I bring out. So stay tuned for that. But for tonight, I'm just happy that we got this win. And, as always, go Lions, one pride.